Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thursday Live Lesson. My name is Aldrine Guerrero. I'm going to be your host for today. Joining me are Mr. Aaron, the voice, Nakamura. Say what's up, Aaron.
What's up?
And Mr. Kahai, the legend, for again. Say what's up, Kahai.
What's up?
So, right on Thursday Live Lesson is where we answer any and all of your questions. If you guys, want to know anything about the ukulele, if you guys are having a hard time with something, you guys working on whatever, you guys can ask us for advice, can ask questions, and we'll give you the best answer that we can. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's it's just okay. But it's just I don't want to say sometimes it's bad because hey, you know what? We're trying our best, right, Kahai?
We're not gonna Babe Ruth it and point to the outfield.
No.
Like,
See, that's just asking for it, man. You know what I mean? Like if you don't hit it there, it's like so I want to set the bar low so that if we do good advice, we're like, hey, they said they're okay, but that was actually really good. That's how all our shows run. Like we always like set the bar just like above one so that if we do okay, then it's like, oh yeah, that was not bad. That's the plan, Kai. Don't oversell us, man.
we're more like
under promise.
Yeah, you gotta
over deliver.
We're more like the Sandlot, like the kid, like you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
You know what I mean? Like if I was introducing you to somebody, Kai, I'd be like, oh, my friend Kai, he's all right, like but I think you should meet him. And then she meets you, and then you're like amazing. It's like, oh, I thought you said he was just all right. He's like the best guy. I'm like, oh yeah, really? Okay. Well, that's good then. I guess it worked out. It's kind of like that.
Can you be like, oh, my friend Kahai, he does like some little tricks, like some little things where he he might make like something disappear or something change. But it's not that.
No, don't say that.
Can you do me a favor? Like when he does a trick for you, can you like make it seem like you're really impressed? That way he'll feel good, and then so I'll be like, oh yeah. So I can. It doesn't matter whatever they think. It's like, oh, either they are really impressed, you underhype me, or it's like, oh, they're just making me feel good. But either way, I won't know. I'll just be like, nice. Yeah.
So she'll be like, oh, so Aldrine told me you did some tricks and stuff, and you're like, oh, he did he? Then you press the play button, and it's like,
I was thinking it's like, oh, Aldrine told me you do some tricks, and I was like, do you mean illusions? And the doves will come out of my sleeves.
How dare Aldrine call them tricks? Not tricking anybody. Right on. So this is supposed to be an ukulele show. So if you guys have ukulele questions or just whatever, like we'll answer them as best as we can. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? We're gonna answer as best as we can. So far so good. In however many episodes that we've done so far, so good. All right. So let's get started. Kai, give us our first question.
This one is from Will, and he said, if I am having good posture and strumming at the correct place on the ukulele, what would be a technique that will give more volume on strumming? I'm using the medicine jar aid and mostly using my index finger. I have short nails. I do own the Alaska picks, but they don't seem to be doing the trick. Any ideas?
I mean, if you're using the Alaskan picks and stuff, and it's still like not enough for you, like that's, you know what I mean? Like that's, I don't know what to say because that's like super bright. I wouldn't even use picks at all, like on my ukulele, And really
actually, I think in the past we mentioned the Alaska pick, but it was only I mentioned it because that's what I use for guitar. Like we don't actually use it for ukulele, so
no.
Yeah, I wouldn't use that for ukulele. Because it's like plastic on nylon, yeah.
So plastic on plastic, basically, like it's it doesn't sound like too good. But I don't want to. I don't know if I should say that because like there might be people who use it. They're like, oh, I've used it all the time. It sounds great. So like to each his own. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say. But really, like as far as we're concerned, like it might come off as a little too bright. Really, the volume comes from the weight of your hand. Because if you're strumming down, for example, if you have good posture, like you said, if you're strumming in the right place, and kind of let your hand kind of go, and like the more weight that you put into your hand. So for example, if I'm just kind of come from the point to myself position to pointing down. If I'm doing a down strum and I'm just letting the natural weight of my hand go, it sounds like this. But like the more weight I put onto it, like the heavier they hit, the louder it gets. So like my hand weighs like a natural amount, but then if I put some momentum, the weight kind of gets heavier and heavier the more the momentum kind of goes. So that's really it's the form stays the same. You're not doing anything different. You're not adding a pick. You're not doing any of that stuff. You just want the natural sound coming out of your ukulele. Even if you have like small nails and stuff, really it's just the weight of your hand that's gonna give you the sound that you're gonna get. Like I don't necessarily want to be any louder than this. Okay, that's like as loud as I really want to go with my ukulele. Because the louder it gets, the more like really the strings kind of vibrate too much. And if the strings vibrate too much, you run into the problem of like hitting the fret wires, hitting the ukulele itself, like that doesn't really sound that clean anymore. So really my ukulele, this is the threshold of how loud I want to get. If I'm like really getting into the song and I really want to bang on it and stuff, then maybe, if the song calls for it. But for the most part, this is kind of where the natural like threshold of my ukulele is. I can add more, but it starts to kind of distort a little bit because the vibrations tend to be too much and it's going to hit a bunch of stuff. Okay. So as far as what you can do, really look at your form. You might be your pointer finger might be curled too much. That is just kind of just like grazing the top of your nail like this. Because Will has sent us videos in the past, right, Kahai?
Yeah.
So we've heard your tone. We've seen like what how you play and stuff. And really, if you just kind of look at how your fingers attack the strings, that should be a great place to start on how to make yourself louder. So for me, it's not necessarily like pointing like this. It is curled a little bit so that it glides through the top of my nail. But for the most part, it's not like too curved or whatever. It's like around here. So I'm still kind of pointing to to the uke, but there is a slight curve, and I'm hitting it. The more the more fingers also, because the heavier that hit is going to be. So you kind of want to think about density, and that's how you get volume, with the ukulele. And the closer you put it into the sound hole also makes a difference. But really, the sweet spot is right here. Like it can only get a little bit louder if you're kind of down here, but then you're already kind of messing with the sound because it's not sounding as bright as an ukulele should. It's getting more and more hollow and more like woody, like woody sounding as it gets down here, or as it's see that. So it really depends where you strum the ukulele as well. Like really, here is really where you want to strum. Just think about the density of how much weight you're putting behind each strum. I think too, like this is actually like a good example, like our show and stuff. I don't know if Will is like looking at other people playing ukulele and he's listening to other players and being like, oh, they sound so clean and clear and it sounds so good. But like the thing is that most recorded versions of ukulele have like something on it to make it sound that good. And so like the same thing with our show, like when you're strumming, right? Like when you're strumming really hard, you can tell it was harder. But then I also put like a limiter and I put a compressor on your channel, your audio channel. So it means that the audio is not going to get too loud and it's not going to get too soft too. And that's what like a lot of people do is they put compressors on, at least a little bit of compression on, when they're mixing or doing audio work, so that like even if the person like they're playing and they might be live, they might not be playing that hard, it'll come through clear enough where you can hear the recording, right? So if you just watch YouTube videos of people playing and you're like, it always sounds so good, why does it sound so good? There's I mean, like the ukulele and the player does make a difference, who's playing and stuff. But then also it could be like that they're, using post-processing to
make it sound better than if you were there in person, you know, like clearer than if you were there in person. So what you might think is like, oh, my playing doesn't sound as good as that. It's like, it might be, if you're live right next to the person, it might be comparable, you know?
Yeah. Aaron? Anything you want to add?
There's like a siren going on.
I hear it. Yeah. What's going on?
So I muted myself, but I mean...
They're looking for you, guy.
No, it's not close.
You were an okay guy.
We'll see if he gets closer.
For Will, like I think he a lot of times he seems to overthink things. Yeah, so I think he should just focus on playing and having fun. That's like the bottom line. Like the more you play, the more you'll figure out naturally how your strum is gonna come out more, or how to emphasize things more during different parts of the song. So yeah, just like play the stuff that you like to play, listen to the songs that you like to listen to, and try to emulate that, and then it'll come. You just don't worry about it too much.
Is it kind of like, you know, when you're like, if you're a surfer, then all you do is just kind of like, I heard like if I put this thing on my board, it'll be sticky. So is it sticky enough? It's just not sticky. It's like, why don't you just go out and like and surf?
Yeah. Like Rob Schneider's character in 3 Ninjas.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was I knew you would get it. I knew you'd get it, you know? But yeah, sorry, I gotta wax my board.
I
think,
you
gonna come out yet?
Just the more that you play. Just play more. Like we all sucked at the beginning, you know? And so like you know, the more that you play, the less that you feel like you suck as much, you know? And then the more that you play, then you get even better than that. And then but it's like an incremental thing. And so at any part along the journey, you'll feel like you suck, you know? Like I've been playing for a long time. I still suck, you know? There's like a lot more that I could be doing, or a lot more that I should be able to do by this point, but who cares? Like I have fun playing, you know? Because
there you go.
Yeah. So for next month's lesson, we're doing a play along for kind of an advanced song, and I've known this song for a long time, and I still can't play it. And I'm editing all of the picking for it. I know how it goes. It like intellectually, I know how it works, but I still am not able to play it, and that's fine. Like I can still play along with the song, like I can still strum along with the song, and maybe eventually sometime in the future I'll be able to pick it, but I don't know. We'll see. And even Aldrine said that he's known this song for such a long time, and he's still getting better at the picking. Like he dissected it even more, knowing what he knows now. And he's even better at it now than he was before. So it's one of those things. So you just keep going, like and have fun.
Don't overthink things.
That's the point. That's the point of that's the reason why we all picked up the ukulele, is to have fun. So focus on that and you'll be fine.
I think like even me and you, right, Aaron? Like we edit the videos for like, you know, well, Aldrine is like soloing or something. And we got to figure out what notes he's playing. So we might like try and figure out actually try and figure out the solo ourselves, right? And like when I was doing not solo secrets, U plus solos, it's like I would figure out like what notes he's playing. I would learn like the solo, like I could actually play parts of the solo like in parts. But then if you ask me like, oh, play the whole song, it's like, oh, I can't do that. Like I don't know how to play the whole song like start to finish. You know, I can't easily play that. I would need to take like a couple weeks, but I can tell you like every single note that Aldrine plays, or I can actually point to where on the fretboard every note plays. But it is, and like even though I work on it so much, and I, you know, you do stuff, and even the song that you're saying, like I think all of us grew up with that song, right? Like at some point, like we knew it from like our childhoods, and so it's like we know it pretty well. But it's you don't. It is that thing again, right? Of wiping the belt. Like when you go like, oh man, I kind of suck. Like I'm not as good as I thought I was. It's the whole process of wiping the belt clean. Like you're going back to white belt. And I think some people get discouraged by that. They're like, oh man, I thought it was better. Oh, I'm not actually that good. But for me, like, I just told somebody, like, when you figure out something that's wrong, like I was telling somebody, because they're like, oh, how do you figure out what key something is in? I was like, oh, just try. Because like if you hear a song and you're like, oh, it sounds like it's in G, but then it's actually in C, you're so close, like with the note wise, you're one note off, like. And so that's like something to be excited about. I think even like when you find mistakes and you're like, oh, I'm not as good as I was, then it's just like, oh, that's something new to learn though, right? That's something new to be excited about. So yeah,
it's just have fun, really. That's all. It's great advice, because like you can like work on your tone and all that stuff, but that comes afterwards, you know what I mean? Like you have to like kind of know some stuff and like have a bunch of songs under your belt and just be, it's tough, because I don't want to I don't want to ruin with your passion, like for the ukulele, or getting the best sound out of it, or best experience possible and stuff. But really, if you just focus on just kind of learning the uke and playing for now, and then perfecting the tone later, like that would be the path that I would take. And that is the path that I took. I mean, when I first started, I was like 4th grade, and I didn't work on tone until I was like in college. to be honest, so that's 4th grade, 8 years, like, and until graduated high school into college. And it was maybe like my 1st or 2nd year in college is when I started working on tone. I'm like, man, how come I don't sound like Aiko Yamashiro? Like Aiko's, I'm like way better like technically than Aiko, but how come she just sounds so good? It's like, it's that realization. Like I was jamming with with Jake and Aiko, and I was like, man, like I can do all this stuff, but how come it just doesn't sound like the 3 notes that Aiko plays? Like her 3 notes sounds way better than like 20 notes. Like why is that? And that's like what kind of woke me up, they're like, oh man, maybe I should concentrate on this. But prior to that, I had a lot of fun with the ukulele. I learned a lot. I was very technical, and I performed in a bunch of places, like prior to that. And then I'm like, okay, now I kind of want to master the instrument. And that's like when when I really sat down and worked on my tone and how I approached each string and how I approached each note, and giving the note its full value, kind of thing. So yeah, just have fun with it. I mean, like really take your time with with the instrument. There's no it's not a race, getting to the finish line, because it's really just a race against yourself. It's not really a race. You're just working out almost, It's not like you're just going out for a run. Really, that's what it is. You might have goals like, oh, I want to go this long or go this far and whatever, but there's no pressure to to reach that. So really just play for yourself, have fun, and yeah. But speaking of that, picking for the next month's lesson, I was I watched this live video of them playing that, and and I watched another live video of them playing that. There's that one part, which I'm talking about. He hits it every time, and I'm just like, that is so impressive, because like even during the play along, I'm like, wait, let's try that again. I didn't get that right, but he hits it every time.
Every time,
every single live version that I saw, he hits it like. Yeah. Pretty much perfectly every time. And that's like one of those things that even when I was recording with Trey Tarada, Tracy was saying that like he's actually one of the best recording ukulele artists. Like he would come into the studio and he knew exactly like what he was gonna lay down. Like he worked it out like at home, maybe practiced it or whatever, came down, he knew exactly like what what the picking that he was gonna do, and he said that he nailed it, like every single time. And it's just
we might as well just say who it is that we're talking about already, because people are so lost.
So it's Troy Fernandez. It's a Troy Fernandez song. So Troy comes into the comes in the studio, and Tracy was like, we were just kind of talking, and I was like, as a fanboy, like I was asking about Jake, I was asking about Troy, I was asking about all these people that Tracy's worked with, and he's like, and he kind of told me that like Troy is one of those people that like who was very, very prepared whenever he came to to the recording session, every time it's just like he would sit down and he knew exactly where he was gonna do. Whereas like Jake, he kind of had an idea, but he would kind of like freestyle for the most part. Like if this kind of sounds better, he'll go with that. But Troy is like, no, this is it. This is the picking for it. And that's why when you listen to a Kyle Creator Boy song, like there is a specific way to play the picking. And then when you watch him live, he plays it exactly the way that he does it in the recording. Maybe a little bit different, but for the most part, like he knows which notes are supposed to be where, whereas Jake does know like where the notes are, but he's a little bit more free about it as far as like, okay, and especially because he's evolved into such a musician. He's like, okay, well, I recorded like this, but this sounds way better with this voicing. I'm gonna add a sharp 11th here, and I'm like, why would you do that? So yeah, for example, like there's that me and Shirley T, like so. So in the recording, he plays us like he plays us just C, which is just G C G C C, right? But then live, he hits this weird sharp 11th. I'm like, why? What? And then like he'll slide it in. It's like, oh, okay, like he is a little bit more free with it. And but with Troy, you watch him play something, and it's just like, yeah, that's the picking. That's the picking I heard on my CD player this morning. That's the picking that I'm watching him do.
Yeah. So and he can pull it off every time.
Every time, perfectly. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, So being able to to do one of his songs again, and every time we do something from like either Pure Heart or Kyle Creator Boys, I always try to make it a point to like, okay, the picking has to be spot on. Like, and I have. And with this one, like I usually pick with my thumb, but for this coming play along, I used my pointer finger, like as Troy would use it, and it's kind of cool because I rediscovered some stuff, like that I didn't know before. Because I'm like, oh no, this sounds way better. But like, although this sounds better tone wise, there's reasons to use this, yeah. Just amazing players. So it's really cool to just be able to dissect things that even I've been playing for years. So it's cool. I love it.
Yeah. So first of the month, I should be done with the play
I'm so sorry, Aaron. It is not easy.
But it's coming. It's on its way.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just like, oh, why don't we do this song? I was like, okay, whatever. That's what you want. I guess
I got one more week before the first of the month.
That's true. It's what's that, Monday or Tuesday, the first of the month?
Yeah. Well, when you told me, it was like a week, a little more than a week.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. We're gonna switch gears and do this song instead.
That's one of those songs like when I did solos, like we would record it, I'd be like, okay, wait a minute, how far up the fretboard does this go? Because I gotta choose the right fretboard diagram to animate everything. Otherwise I'm gonna spend hours animating on the wrong fretboard and then realize, oh boy, this one goes past the 12th
it's
fret.
A 15.
This is a 15er. Oh, gotta grab out that one.
How about like remember when we did Palolo? So you did Palolo, right, Kahai?
Yep.
Oh yeah. So like how was that? Because I know like even timing wise, it was like kind of weird, huh? Like how was that experience? That's a Troy song.
Yeah. I think so. That's the thing is like some people are like, oh, I'm trying to use the tabs, but the tabs are like a little off. I'm like, because it doesn't fit in 4/4. Like I don't know how to tell you. Like I tried my best to tab it out, but it's not necessarily like a 4/4 song. It's not a 5/4 song either or anything. It's just the timing is what the timing is. You just gotta play to it. Yeah. I was like, and I tried to make it as best as it could, but yeah, your best bet is just to listen to the recording or try and play along to the recording, because you just I don't know, you can't make it fit into such regimented things. So like, well, just try your best.
Yeah. What was the hardest like solo song that you worked on, Kai?
I don't know. I remember specifically Body Surfing. I think you go from like the 17th fret down to the second fret or something. You slide up to really high and then you slide back down. So I had to animate both the notes and the fret, like because all of the fret lines couldn't fit on screen. So I had to animate it where like the whole fretboard slides up, like jumps up a few frets and then jumps back down. And that kind of thing, like it kind of takes like math more than like actual doing stuff. I don't know. It's like I'm like I'm pixel counting, or I'm like, like measuring. I'm like, okay, goes to here and I gotta go back here. So it's just stuff like that. Yeah, it can be tricky, and it can be, that's where it's like, wait, how many frets does this go up to? I always like it because like we record the song and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a good solo, and I'm like, oh wait, I gotta animate all this stuff. Yeah, I gotta figure that out. Oh man.
What about you, Aaron? What is like the hardest thing you worked on, video, ukulele ground wise? Lesson, maybe not like something like Soul Secret Revealed, where like it's like a lot of work, like more just like technically hard.
Like the picking was tough,
or just like something that took you a while, which should have taken you, like normally takes you like like a certain amount of time, but it took you like a bit. It was the hardest video to edit that way.
Something I can think of is like how was Seasons of Love, because like you were putting together like everybody, right?
Yeah.
For the video itself, that was kind of intense. Yeah, doing the actual video. Yeah, I don't know. For like picking, there wasn't anything too crazy.
Yeah, because you weren't animating like Calais or Kyle or anything. You just kind of play their thing.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Early on, I think it was like perfect sometimes was kind of tough to do.
That was a Jake. That was a Jake picking.
Yeah, that was a Jake picking in a Justin James song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little known. Little known tune. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Matt's course was tough because I had to create all of the graphics for that, and it was brand new graphics, stuff that we don't use on Ukulele Underground. So yeah, and it was massive. So
yeah. See, this is cool. This is like something that I'm interested in too. Like, and I'm sure the audience, being like Ukulele Underground members or people who have at least watched the videos, would kind of wonder what you guys do behind the scenes. What's hard? What was the easiest?
It's always funny when we get messages where they're like, oh, I want to make the same diagrams that you guys make and make the same animations. What program do you guys use that I can just type in everything? And it's like, oh no, sorry. If you know a program, I'd be happy to listen, because I definitely want to do that. But so far, it's all, you gotta do it by hand,
frame by frame.
Frame by frame.
Yeah, and not much people know that, like, because you guys animate stuff, and I think the other like tutorials that I've seen who've tried to like to kind of I'll just flat out say it, try to copy like what you guys do, like I think it's just like, here's the chord and here's the chord again, but then you guys like make sure it's animated, make sure it's like synced up to what I'm doing with my hands as to what they see on the screen, which is really cool. So, and I think there's a lot of people who just watch the videos and they're like, man, Aldrine is good like at videos. Like, I don't do none of that stuff, like oh my gosh, like I don't, but yeah, like it's and even just the format you guys like created, and people are trying to just like, hey, this works, we'll do this too, but it's not thinking about all the hours and hours and hours of hard work that kind of goes into doing one video,
because like,
but yeah, so this next one I'm excited for, man. I can't even imagine like how much work went into this next one.
It's when like me and Aaron talk, like, right, it's funny because people can like listen into the conversation and be like, what are you talking about? Why do you do that? Like, because it's like, oh, so do you Aaron, do you use like a 10 frame transition or do you use a 5 frame transition? and like knowing the difference between the two, or knowing like, oh, for this one should I go with like a straight cut transition, or should I like slowly fade in, or should I do like a curve fade and stuff? It's all like like when I was learning how to like animate all these things, it's like asking Aaron, because like Aaron know, like it's like you're trying to animate what's accurate on the fretboard or what you're playing, but you're also trying to animate it in a way that's like readable and that feels like it represents the music that's being played too, right? Because we could I think I was just talking to somebody, we could just throw like every single note on the fretboard at once, and be like, okay, there it is, and then when it pops up, that's when you play it, but it'll look like it's just a jumbled mess. So it's knowing about like, okay, I'm gonna cut it into like 4 frets and make it so that these are the 4 frets that you focus on, and these are the notes that might be coming up within this 4 fret range or whatever. There's like a lot of thought behind that kind of things too, that I think people, like if people try it, then it's something that you realize like, oh, there's a lot more thought into how to communicate this lesson appropriately, so other people can watch it and be like, oh, I understand musically what happens, Yeah,
there's a psychology behind it too, Oh man, yeah. Do you guys want to answer one more question, or or should we move on to the next thing?
Will had like another part of his question, and it kind of relates back to what Aaron said about like, just have fun. So he said, also a related question, I have a Roland Cube amp and I plug in my uke and play the Friday Jam songs. Should I place the little amp behind me and face away from it? I practice now mostly in my small bedroom.
I mean, you wouldn't even amp, I think, like you could just play your ukulele, because if you're plugging into an amp, it kind of and if you're just playing for yourself, like amplifying is, in the word is like making something louder. You're going from your ukulele to the amplifier, and the amplifier is the sound that you're hearing. So that kind of if you're thinking about like the tone of your ukulele and how loud you're playing it and stuff, with that, like, you can just turn a knob and you'll be louder, so it kind of defeats the purpose of for like the perfect tone, the perfect volume and whatnot. I would personally not use an amp, like if I'm just playing along to a little Friday Live Jam, but if if that's your thing, then that's cool. Like if you want to add like effects and whatnot, like that's cool too, that's fun. I'm not gonna say that's not fun, because that's awesome, but for the most part, if you're just kind of if you're just watching and you're just playing along, not really like adding anything other than like just the natural sound of your ukulele, because you want to be able to enjoy the sound of your uke as well, like you don't want to over process the sound that's coming out of your uke. You want to be able to hear its natural beauty. Like this is not plugged in or anything like that. I am using a microphone to kind of to hear this, but for the most part, like I'm not even hearing it through my headphones. Like Kahai hears it and you guys hear it, but I don't hear it. But I love the sound of of this ukulele just naturally, and it's one of those things that you need to kind of appreciate the natural sound of your uke. But if you're really set on like plugging in your uke and whatnot, if I would just it's totally up to you. If you want to put it wherever, like play around with it, play around with the room and where it would sound best. I don't know the dimensions of your room and whatnot, and I don't know where your speakers are coming from on your on your computer, or if you're using headphones or anything like that. There's all these things that matter, where you would place the the amp or whatever. But if it's just a small Roland Cube amp, like and you said you have a small room, I wouldn't even bother with it, to be honest.
Yeah,
unless you're adding effects like that's, and then that crank it to 11, right? This is a gent guy.
It has to have like 7 strings or more to gent.
Yeah. Oh, okay, my bad.
Need more strings.
Maybe you should get 2 ukuleles and just tape it together, and then you'd have like just
8 strings.
One, like 8 strings.
If you have 8 strings, then yeah, it jets. But
it jets.
Don't even ask me if it's 6 or below. Yeah.
It just does it. The answer is no every time.
Yeah. So like even in your own personal time, how much do you plug in your uke to an amp to just play and stuff?
Honestly, like zero. Like unless I'm practicing, like looping or anything like that, unless that's really my goal for that practice, then not really. Like I just, because the thing is, if you sound great, if you can make the ukulele sound good without it being plugged in, then like then imagine how it can sound like when you do plug it in, because you can enhance the sound even further. You can EQ the thing, you can add like reverb, you can add delay and whatnot, but it really stems from like, does it sound good naturally? Because like if it doesn't, and you're just trying to cover it up with like effects and EQs and whatever and processors and whatnot, then like then that's something that you kind of need to work on as a musician. Like you want the instrument's natural sound to come out, and then and then work on that. Okay. So not really, and that's why I think I've told this story before, but that's why I got rid of a lot of the effects that I used. Like I don't use anything other than like an EQ, a boost, and maybe reverb, but I usually ask for reverb from the house, like if I'm performing somewhere. And it's because like I don't want there to be any doubts, about my playing. I don't want people to, to be like, man, he just sounds good because he adds this distortion or delay or wah or whatever. That's why he sounds good and whatnot. And I've heard those, those comments and stuff, and I'm just like, okay, well, let's get rid of everything, like, so that nobody can say anything, about my playing, and it's just gonna kind of speak for itself, like if and that as a musician too, as an artist, not even just a musician, as an artist, I want to perfect my art, and I want to make the best art that I can possibly make. And I feel that like the natural sound from the from the instruments and the natural attacks and approaches that I'm doing will matter, with every stroke that that I play with this instrument.
The boost that he's talking about, or that he mentioned, was just a volume boost.
It's just a volume boost.
Yeah, it doesn't change the sound at all. It's just
it's a magic button that makes me sound better. Like
boosted
boost sound. Boosted.
Yeah.
NOS, the NOS button.
Yeah, it's more just like when you're strumming, it sounds loud already, and then when you go to picking, sometimes it sounds less loud. So you just click the boost button, it'll bring your volume up a few decibels, and then you can just pick at the same volume that you were strumming. So yeah,
it's I think the boost is maybe like 2 or 3 decibels. It's not much.
Yeah. And then that's just on board your DI, right? You have that.
So really, if you watch us play live, I have nothing more than just the DI. Like with what I'm putting down. If I'm playing solo, maybe the DI and like and the looper. But for the most part, it's just the DI. Before, like, and it really stuck with me, like what Mike said, because I was playing a show over at KCC Concert Hall, and like when Mike was helping me set up and plug in and stuff, and he's like, "Wow, what are you gonna do? Like launch a spaceship, like with your control panels?" I was like, "Wow, Mike, that was like the meanest thing you've ever said."
How long ago was that when you were using like a full rig?
I just got my Kamaka. Like I remember, because that night, like I just got Mika. I just got Mika. This has got to be 2007, 2008, something like that. Like a long time, 2006 even. Like it was a long time ago, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna like try out this new uke that I bought. I'm gonna plug it in and all these effects, and it sounds so good. And then Mike's like, "Oh, launch a spaceship with that?" I'm like, "Wow, Mike, ouch."
And from that point, you started rethinking everything.
Like, maybe I don't want to launch a spaceship on stage, because like back then I had like. I didn't even use like all those effects, but I just had the board, like I brought the board with me, and it had like a metal zone distortion, it had the wah, it had a delay, I had a phaser in there, and a reverb, I had like a tuner and an EQ. It's just it's like a board, you know. And he's like, whoa, and a lot like it's you're playing an ukulele, Aldrine. I don't think you need all this. I'm like, you're right.
You're right.
Like honestly, I hate to agree with you because you're basically making fun of me, but you're absolutely correct. Like as an ukulele player, maybe I don't need to, especially as a soloist, like and I mean there's guys that can do it justice, like people like Kahai and stuff. Like he'll come out with his big board and he'll loop and he'll like add distortion and whatnot and stuff. And even Jake does this stuff now. But I'm like, maybe I am trying to overcompensate for something, like maybe like I feel like my skills are not as good, so I need to like kind of rely on some tricks and stuff. And and that was my turning point. So thank you, Mike, for showing me the way and making fun of me.
It's funny because I think every person, or at least for me, like I see a lot of musicians go through this. It's like when you buy your first instrument with a pickup in it, you're just like, ooh, I can buy like amps and I can buy pedals and I can buy all these, like there's something that comes out of my instrument that goes into another thing. So I better buy that other thing, I better buy a bunch of it. And then it's like, I think every musician kind of goes through that, right? Like they buy electric or they buy something with a pickup and they just want to buy everything to, theoretically like, oh, this will make you sound better. But it's like, not really. And then I think they go through that and then they come back around where it's just like when I go into a music store now and like, a guitar salesperson comes up and they're like, oh, it has a pickup in it and it's out, you can amplify and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I don't really care. Like that's not a selling point for me. I care more about like the acoustic sound of the instrument or whatever, unless it is like a electric instrument that is meant to be amplified. But I'm like, yeah, that I don't care, whatever. Like I'm just looking for a good instrument now.
Yeah, so I gotta bring that up with Mike like next time we have him. I think he's coming in. Like he said that either next week or the week after, because it's like a new month or whatever, and he's gonna switch with somebody because he wants to come back to the he hasn't been on for a long time. Yeah. So I gotta bring that up. I'm like, hey, remember Mike when you made fun of me and then like I threw away all my pedal? I think the only thing I used that night is like is the delay, like the DD3 delay that I had. I was doing a cell phone whatever thing like at that time, and maybe the the reverb, but other than that I didn't really need anything else. And he was just like, you're right. Yeah, and I was just like, you're right. Maybe
you could have used one patch cable.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I could have saved KCC a lot of electricity.
I just imagine that the next day you go to Mike and be like, hey Mike, do you know anybody who wants to buy all these pedals? And you just have all your pedals in a trash bag. And he's like, oh.
Yeah. But he would be the one to go to because he knows all the musicians on Kauai
that would buy it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course I know another kid who just bought an electric guitar or whatever, a Yamaha electric guitar. He'll want all these pedals.
In my defense, the reason I had all that stuff was I was playing with a band, like we played pop music and we played like reggae and whatnot, like so we had drums, like a guitar, one guitar I guess with keyboards and whatnot. So like I didn't really need like a like a rhythm ukulele like that much, so it was up to me to kind of like add like little fills here and there. So like having the pedals was really cool to add like fills and whatnot, but still it was kind of taking a lot away from like the natural sound of the uke. And I became just like a, instead of like the group's ukulele player is just like lead guitarist almost, like it's kind of like that. Like why don't I just play guitar instead? Like as if that's just what I'm gonna do, like what's the point of playing ukulele at that at that point? So Mike really showed me the way, like not in the nicest way, but he showed me the way.
I think most musicians like go through that phase and then move away from it too, because you realize like the more things you have to set up and plug in, the less time you're actually spending playing your instrument. And it's like, oh my god, you mean I have to go and grab my amp and plug it in and plug in my pedal board and plug in all these things, and one of my patch cables is like faulty, so I gotta get another patch cable. Like all the time, it's like if I just had something that it's like, oh, I can just pick up, like that's why it's like, I think that's why ukulele and acoustic instruments are great, because you just pick them up and it's like, I'm just gonna play for however much time I can play right now, right? Is like by the time I set up like, you know, like my electric guitar or my bass or something, it's like, wow, it's been an hour already and I haven't played a single note.
Yeah.
It's like, you just want to move away from that.
Yeah, I remember when and also because Jake, you know, kind of got rid of his also. Like that's another reason it kind of inspired me. But what he told me though was like he was, you know, he was playing with like classical musicians, like he was playing with Yo-Yo Ma, and he was playing with this like piano player and whatnot, and in his mind it's like, oh, if I just had this pedal, you know, like I can do this run with this piano player. And he started thinking about it and it's like, oh, like you know, do I kind of rely on that so that I can sound like this? Like why don't I just like this person just sits down, plays his piano, or like Yo-Yo Ma just, you know, just starts playing his cello or whatever, you know, like. So he's just kind of saying that, oh, maybe if I like hone in on the instrument. And that's like when, you know, he really went very like natural sound. Like he's coming back more to like the you know, to the pedals and whatnot, and the loopings and the distortions. And Kavika, he did some distortion in that album, so it's kind of surprising to see him kind of go back to that. But it's, you know, it's cool. It's like the right direction for his music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a wrong thing, but it's just like, I think that is a question you gotta ask yourself, is like, is this distracting myself more from my own music, you know, rather than adding on to it? Is it more of a distraction to it?
Yeah. All right. So our songs are due today. You guys want to do your songs? Because I did not finish mine. Like it's my, everybody gets one, and this is mine. Okay, because I don't know, the past couple weeks, because I was working on that track, and then I was working on this track that was supposed to be for next month, but then you know, and I didn't, and I have stuff, but it's not complete. Like because I worked on it throughout, but I just didn't have time.
I'm glad I'm not the only bad student in the class. I'm glad there's like other students who need extensions. It makes me feel better. Thank you for doing that.
Everyone gets one, and this is my one. I'm asking for. I am like Birdie status. I'm once again asking for your help.
You know what? Take as much time as you need. Don't worry. About it.
Yeah. Next week I'll have, because I have stuff. You know, I have a strong chorus and whatnot, but it's just it's not done.
And I think it's a bummer when you try and rush a song right before it's like finished. So you want to get the most out of it. Yep.
I mean it's so good. The song is awesome.
Should we just hold off until next week, or
kind of? It's 150 anyway, so you know, we don't want to rush that either, so maybe we'll just give everybody an extension. See, so you know, like it's one of those things that the teacher's like, all right, everybody, because you know, because Aldrine wants to take his time. Everyone's gonna take his time.
And then next week we'll have Mike on, so we won't do it then either.
Oh, bad! If only.
It's gonna be like
keep writing forever.
Yeah, it's the best song ever.
It's gonna be like the school, like the end of the school year, when you look in your backpack and you're like, oh, I've had this project in my backpack for like 2 months and I haven't turned it in yet. I hope it's not important for my grade. Oops.
You ever had that thing where like something's due in like 2 weeks and you did it in like 2 or 3 days and then you forget about it, and then like when it's finally due, you're like, oh my god, like it's kind of done but it's not really done, you know, because you're like, I got like a week and a half to finish this, and then like oh no, like now I just have like till tomorrow, so you start like rushing and then it turns out terribly.
Or when you start something right and you're like, I did like most of it already, I'm good, I can like slack for a couple weeks, and then when you actually look at it, it's like, oh, I didn't do this at all, oh no.
Yeah, it's like that. Maybe Aaron, see how Aaron's quiet? He's like, I've never done that. I've always done everything on time.
No, well,
I'm a responsible student.
With this one, that's because like I'm thinking, because I didn't do a lot of the bonus ones, but I finished the song and I kind of like it. So do I add the bonus things on, or do I just leave it as it is? Like, you know, because I kind of like how it is as is, but there's like a lot of bonus things that I didn't do, you know.
So you know, we talked a lot about next month's song and stuff, And next month's song is like super advanced, so like I would be very impressed if somebody like played the picking and send me a video. If you can play the picking, send me a video of it, and maybe I'll send you something in return. How about that? Like, cause I want people to kind of like try it out. It is very advanced. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be good.
Let's try it out. Send it over to us, and maybe we'll do a raffle or something. I'll give something away. Yeah, so just try it out and see what. I'll give you this pack of Belvita soft baked. Let me start making my video.
I'll give you this printer. That's
it right here. It's from the set. It's like it's a set prop, right? Like because we're actually we're gonna move soon, and we're gonna be like it's gonna look a lot better, professional and stuff. So it's kind of like when Conan like moved over to the Tonight Show, he like started destroying everything, started giving a bunch of stuff away to like the audience members, like, here, have a piece of the set. I should do that. Here's this piece of paper from the show. It was on the show. Here's a bunch of garbage. Kahai, what's one piece of memorabilia that you wish you had from a favorite show?
I don't know, because I think I'm like you, like where I grew up liking like cartoons and stuff. So like a cartoon cell would be more cool to me than like something from
Which cartoon?
Which cartoon? I think so. Like you grew up or you're a fan of Doug and Rocco, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like I was a pretty big fan, or I think I didn't realize how good it was and how much I liked it until I was an adult. But I can really resonate with it now. Is Hey Arnold? Like for some reason I really like that show, and that's just like a cool chill show. So if I got a cell from that, I think I'd be pretty happy.
As far as like memorabilia, like I had a chance to go and check out a table read for Bob's Burgers, because like the invite was there, like Lauren Bashar was like, oh yeah, come down, and every time you go to a table read, and it's open for people to kind of go to and stuff, as long as you're invited, and everyone gets a copy of the script, and because you can read along with the people and stuff, and then like they do this thing where like the cast is there, and they'll sign your script if you want them to, or whatever, approach them and whatnot. And I didn't go. and it's one of those things that I don't know if I'll ever have that opportunity again, that like to kind of get that. So but then I guess I could just be like, hey, Mr. Bashard, like could I get one of those scripts? But I'm like so ashamed, like it's like I'm like hitting up my friend, like, hey, could you like send me what I'll like pay for the postage. I'll pay for it even, like I'll buy the script from you or whatever. But it's one of those, like, man, if I could have the script to Electric Love, like that, or no, Topsy, like the episode Topsy with the Electric Love, the song in it, that specific episode, that would be my memorabilia. What about you, Aaron? What's the one thing that you want to take home? Because we're just like 5 minutes away from ending.
Because I've been in the process of moving, or like at least packing up the stuff from the office and my house. It's kind of like I think I need less things.
You're like Aaron Kondo over here.
I realize that I doesn't
bring you joy.
Yeah,
but also
this is a spark joy. Sorry, this is spark joy.
Yeah,
this one does not spark joy. Also, Aaron is the type of person, though, right, that instead of like looking to like, oh, I'm gonna go look on websites to find and buy that memorabilia, like you would just make it yourself, right? Like you would make a replica of whatever.
Yeah. That's pretty much I have I created what it was from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the movie. It was like the ooze container.
Ooze. Oh, cool.
So I made one out of PVC pipe and glass, and I made it into like a beta fish tank. Yeah. So things That's like cool. That, I just do it myself. Like I don't need the actual prop from the movie. It probably deteriorated by now, you know.
We used to buy like Voss water for that very specific purpose because it looks like the canister from the ooze, and we put like green tea inside. So in our refrigerator there's always like this green glass bottle thing that like reminded us of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Yeah.
Secret of the Ooze, that's a good one. That's the one with Vanilla Ice in it.
Yeah.
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 That's so good.
That's good. The reason why you watch that movie.
Go Ninja Go!
The cameo by Vanilla Ice, a nonsensical cameo too. Like, you know, he didn't need to be there.
Yes, he did. Don't say that.
He needed to be paid. That's why.
I think that. Like I think that's one of the telltale signs of like when Aaron told me that, it's like, yeah, I can get along pretty well with Aaron, because like when he told me that, I'm like, that is really cool. But it's like thinking is like, I don't know if other people will think that it's that cool though. Or I remember even like Aaron told me like, it was like some kind of sign, right? Like that you found on the side of the road or something. That you took, and I remember when Aaron told me that, I was like, that is really cool, and that's something that I would like to have. While also like I have
that's probably illegal too, but I won't admit to what sign it was.
Oh yeah, well, you almost ratted out Aaron.
You don't have the sign anymore, right, Aaron? So they can't.
No,
it's not your problem. Yeah.
No, I turned it into the police.
You never had it to begin with. Yeah,
I totally did.
I went back to where I found it and I put it back. Yep, that's what happened.
He allegedly took a side.
but that's like the thing. It's like I think when I don't know if I told Aaron first or Aaron told me that first, because like I also have signs from when Borders closed. And they had those big signs hanging like over each section, right? That says like sci-fi and fantasy and stuff. They just had them lined up. So I went up to like the person, you know, the cashier, and I was like, hey, can I buy those signs? And he had to like be like, I gotta go ask my manager because I don't even know if that's possible. And he came back and he was like, yeah, you can buy it for like, you know, $20. So I was like, oh, cool, I'll buy a couple. And my mom was even like, where are you going to put this? There's no room in our house. These signs are huge. But I was like, oh, but they're cool. Like, I want to get them. So, yeah, I have those signs hanging up. And yeah, I remember when Aaron telling me like, oh, yeah, I just found the sign on the side of the road. I was like, oh, me too. Yeah, I have something like that too.
Yeah.
I had a, my friend, let's just call it, my friend Jason. He does, I don't think he listens to the podcast. I'm not gonna say anything bad anyway. So Jason, he used to work at GameStop, and I think it was like Pokemon was like coming out, and they had the display and whatever. I'm like, hey dude, like when you guys are done, can I have that display? Because I think it was like Ruby and Sapphire came out like for Game Boy Advance, and it was like a really cool like little display thing. And I remember I took a picture next to, like, I used it for a picture for like a MySpace picture. I don't have that picture anymore. I wish I had it. It's like one of the nerdiest things that I did was just like grab like the display from GameStop and like started posing with it and stuff. And yeah, it was good times.
Yeah, anyway,
yeah, that's what a way to end the show. That was my last 10 minutes.
Ukulele podcast.
There's no shortage of 90s, references. We were talking about Three Ninjas. We talked about Ninja Turtles 2. Hey Arnold.
We're not the type of people who like look at something and being like, that's not practical. I don't really need it. We're more the type of person who looks at it as like, that's pretty cool. I think I need that. I think either I need it or I gotta make it or something gotta happen for me to get that. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I was just thinking about this today. I'm gonna have to take down all of the stuff on our refrigerator So like over the years, we've gotten, notes in the mail and things from when we were on tour, and we just throw it on our refrigerator. So I'm gonna have to take everything off. So I might just take a picture of it and then post it to our Instagram, just as kind of like a thank you to everybody who has contributed to Ukulele Underground over the years. It is a sight to see. Our refrigerator.
It's so messy, but it's cool though. Like it's good mess.
Yeah. But I'm gonna have to take all of that down, and
you got the Queen on there. Like
it's not gonna make it to the new refrigerator, unfortunately. Some of the stuff will, but not everything.
Yeah, because we had. Where else are you gonna see the Queen of England hanging out with like Korean pop stars? Only on our refrigerator, baby.
Yeah.
You'll know once Aaron takes the picture, post it up to grab. You'll know. She's in good company.
Because we even get things like Christmas cards, right, from some of the members. So like I think those things are really cool. Like we get Christmas cards from families, and we can see like, oh, this family, like, oh, how much they changed, or what happened to them. So those things are always cool to see.
Yeah, right on. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. That was fun. So next week we'll have our songs due. So we do the song challenge for those people who's like, well, I don't even know what they're talking about. We do a song challenge here on Thursday Live Lesson. It was supposed to be due today, where we have guidelines of what the songs are going to be, and we showcase the songs that we write, and then that kind of gives you guys ideas for songs that you guys can write with the same kind of parameters that we set. So that will be due next week. Tomorrow we will have Aloha Friday Live Jam going on. After this show, we have one-on-one coaching. Also, tomorrow night, I'll be playing for the Hawaii State Art Museum. So check out their Instagram page, or check out my Instagram page for the link to that. I already posted it a couple of days ago, so make sure you check that out. Have a great one, everyone.
Sorry. Can I also mention?
Yes.
So Rob Wallace, he's in the chat.
Yeah.
He sent us a box, and he sent it to me. So
yes.
I
thought that was a Friday thing, but we can open it now if you want.
No. Well, whenever. I was just gonna say, if we don't get to it, we'll get to it next week or whenever.
Well, Rob's here now. Why don't we just open it now? Just open it now.
Yeah,
I just wanted to just kind of end the show, because I was like, we have one-on-one coaching coming in, but if Rob's here, it's so sweaty, guys, because I had my ukulele next to me. It's just like, so I have it here. Let's open her up. So this from Rob Wallace. Here we go. I didn't look inside, but Kahai did, so I don't need to do the preliminary, scan or whatever. Okay, cool. So, let's see. Gentlemen, thank you so much for the great content. I have UU Plus member for the past years, and have grown so much as a player. There's still so much more to learn. Keep up the great work. I started doing simple cardistry as a way to keep my fingers and hands flexible, but my herd has gotten a little too big. I hope you enjoy these. They are some of my favorites. Rob Wallace, Wally World. Oh, right on. Thank you, cards. That's cool, man. Right on, Kahai.
Yeah.
So here. Oh, yeah. These are good. Like really good cards. I'm like, oh snap.
So I was thinking of since Rob sent us cards, and I know he said that his herd is a little too big. But I was thinking about sending him some of the cards that I have, some extra cards that I have.
Yeah, me too. I'll send you something too, yeah.
Yeah, just so we can do like a card exchange, yeah.
Okay. So first off, my God, Madison Rounders?
Yeah.
Nice. Daniel Madison. Mints, like Steve Minty? This is good stuff. This is the launch edition Steve Minties. How? What? That's crazy. What else? The red launch edition Steve Minties. These are luxury playing cards. These are like legit. Like if you look in the back, that's like not, like just a normal bicycle deck. Speaking of normal bicycle decks, bam! This is traditionally cut though. So usually they're modern cut, but this one is a special. I got that gold seal in there, and they're traditionally cut. It farrows the other way, right, Kahai? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's I think the other one Pharaoh's bottom up, like how if you were to do it like on the on the card table, but the other one is it's from top to bottom. I forget which one is which, but yeah. So this is the red, traditionally cut. So this is just a regular rider back bicycle cards, but this is a little bit special because it's traditionally cut. Fontaine. Oh snap! What? It's a black Fontaine. This is not like I am shocked, like super rare. Shocked. These are rare cards that Kahai gave me one time. Like Kahai gave me a deck of black. I only have one deck of black Fontaine cards, and I usually have two, one open and like one unopened, and but I only have one, and now dang, black Supreme. What? And another black Fontaine. Two black Fontaines.
now
Three
you can.
Black Fontaines. God. 4 black Fontaines. This is amazing. That's what else is in this box? That's it. So thank you so much. This is his letter, just to kind of show you guys. All right, so Rob, thank you for all the cards. Kai, yeah, man, this is awesome. And 4 decks of black Fontaines. These are not cheap. Like that's thank you, Jesus. I don't even know what to say. Like I usually have a billion things to say, but this is ridiculous.
It was funny when Rob sent me email saying like, "Hey, I want to send you guys cards." I was thinking like, "Oh, like a postcard? Yeah, that's cool." And so I gave him my address, and then my dad was like, "Kai, there's like a box outside." So I went to look, and I was like, "Oh, I guess he like changed his mind, and maybe there's postcards inside of here with something else." And I opened it up, and I'm just like, "What is all of this?" He's like, "Holy cow!" Yeah. So
dang. Yeah, like launch edition minties. That's not cheap either. Like, oh my gosh! Like, how long have you been collecting, Rob? Since you're on the since you're online right now, how long have you been? Because these and then the blacks I think came out with like 2000. When was this, Kahai? Because you have these. When did you buy these?
Oh, I don't even know. Yeah, that's because that's one of the originals, right? It was red, blues, and blacks, I think. Yeah.
So this is a 9 decks of amazing cards. So thank you so much. Wow, I'm speechless.
Yeah,
speechless. But yeah, we'll send you some decks as well. Okay. I'll send you one of my favorites. So, Kahai, did you get one? I put it in the office.
I haven't been.
Oh, he didn't come to the office yet.
Oh yeah. I gave you one of these because I've been meaning to give you. So I dropped it off, and I also dropped off the strings that you're supposed to. Anyway, yeah. So thank you. So tomorrow, we'll have a Low Friday Live Jam, and we'll do something with one of these. Okay, if you come on the show tomorrow. All right, that's it for our show. Have a great one, everyone. Aloha, and thank you for tuning in. Mahalo. Thank you.